The late afternoon sun cast long golden rays across the quiet village path. The cicadas sang their endless song, while the river nearby whispered softly against its banks. Life in the countryside seemed simple, calm, and predictable, or at least it had always been so for Huyen and little Maya. But that day, something unusual stirred the air. Dee was carrying a bundle of bamboo he had just cut for repairing the chicken coop, while Huyen walked beside him, balancing a basket of guavas. Maya skipped happily ahead, humming a tune, her laughter carrying like a bell through the still air. They were almost home when they noticed her. At the bend of the dusty road stood a woman. She was thin, her clothes faded by time, her hair streaked with gray. She looked as if she had walked a long distance, her steps unsteady, her eyes scanning every corner as though searching for something or someone. When she lifted her gaze, her eyes landed on Huyen, and for a fleeting moment, they softened, as if recognition had suddenly bloomed after many years of waiting. Huyen froze, her heart tightening without reason. There was something hauntingly familiar about the woman's face, though she could not place it. Maya clutched her mother's hand, whispering, "Who is that, Mama? Why is she looking at us like that?" Dee frowned, protective as always, but also curious. He stepped closer, his voice calm but firm. "Madam, do you need help? Are you lost?" The woman did not answer at once. Her lips trembled, as though words were trapped behind them. Then, with a broken whisper, she finally spoke. "Huyen, is it really you?" The world seemed to fall silent. Even the cicadas stopped for a breath. Huyen's heart pounded her name, spoken so tenderly, so knowingly, by a complete stranger. Dee looked from the woman to Huyen, suspicion in his eyes but also a strange pull of fate. Who was this woman? Why did she seem to know Huyen? And why did her voice carry the weight of years, as if hiding a secret that had waited far too long to be told? The air thickened with questions. None of them yet had the answers. But one thing was clear. This meeting was no coincidence. Huyen's hands trembled as she held Maya close. The woman's voice had struck something deep inside her, a memory that refused to stay buried. But she forced a smile, trying not to show her unease in front of her daughter. "You must be mistaken," Huyen said softly, her eyes lowering. "I don't know you." The woman's face tightened, pain flashing across her tired features. She took a hesitant step forward, her gaze never leaving Huyen's. "You may not remember me, or perhaps you've tried to forget, but I know you. I knew you when you were just a girl." Dee shifted uneasily, his bamboo bundle creaking in his grip. He didn't like the way the woman spoke, as though she carried a piece of Huyen's life that even he had never heard. "If you know her," he said firmly, "then tell us your name." The woman hesitated, her lips pressing together as if the name itself was dangerous. She looked away, toward the horizon where the sun was sinking behind the rice fields. Then back at Huyen, with eyes that glistened. "My name is Nu," she finally said. "Do you remember, Huyen?" "Nu, from Cam village." The name hit Huyen like a wave against stone. Her breath caught anew. It was a name she had not heard for more than a decade, a shadow from the past she had carefully hidden, even from Dee. Huyen's silence gave her away. Dee noticed the way her eyes darted, the way her body stiffened. He had never seen her look like this before. "Huyen," he asked quietly, "do you know her?"
Huyen opened her mouth, but no words came out. Maya, sensing her mother's fear, clung tighter to her skirt. Nu stepped closer, her voice cracking with desperation. "You cannot deny me. We shared the same roof once. We shared the same blood of sorrow. And now, after all these years, I have finally found you.
The air grew heavy. The cicadas resumed their chorus, but now their song felt sharp, almost accusing. Dee's chest tightened with unease, but beneath it was curiosity burning like fire. If this was true, then who exactly was new? And what secret had Huyen carried all these years, hidden even from him? Dee insisted they should not linger on the road. The sky was darkening, clouds gathering low, and Maya had begun to shiver from the cool breeze. "Let's go home," he said, his voice steady but his eyes sharp on the stranger. "If she needs shelter, we can offer her water and a seat. But answers can wait." Nu's lips curved in a faint, weary smile. She did not resist. Instead, she followed silently, her footsteps dragging as if each step carried the weight of years. When they reached the small house, Huyen quickly lit the oil lamp. Its soft glow spilled across the bamboo walls, casting trembling shadows that made the room feel both warm and uncertain. Dee set down the bamboo poles in the corner, while Maya, ever curious despite her fear, peeked at the woman from behind her mother's skirt. Nu sat quietly on the low wooden stool, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Her eyes roamed the room, the jars of rice, the basket of guavas, the simple tools that spoke of a humble but honest life. Then her gaze returned to Huyen. "You've built something beautiful here," she said softly. "Peaceful, safe. I can see why you wanted to hide." Huyen flinched. The words were too direct, too knowing. Dee caught it immediately, his brow furrowing. He looked at Huyen as though seeing her for the first time, sensing layers he had never been allowed to touch. "Huyen," he said gently, but firmly, "what does she mean?" Huyen lowered her eyes, her fingers nervously tightening around the fabric of her dress. She wanted to speak, to explain, but fear sealed her lips. Nu leaned forward, her voice trembling yet full of urgency. "You were just a child when it happened. You couldn't understand then. But I was there. I saw it all. And I swore, one day, I would find you." Dee's jaw clenched. The air seemed to thicken with every word. Maya pressed closer to her mother, whispering, "Mama, what is she talking about?" But Huyen only stroked Maya's hair, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Nu's voice dropped to a near whisper, heavy with truth. "Huyen, I am not a stranger. I am blood, and the story that binds us has been buried long enough." Her words echoed in the small room, like thunder rolling before the storm. The room was still except for the faint hiss of the oil lamp. Dee's eyes flickered between the two women, his Huyen, trembling with silence, and the weary stranger whose words dripped with hidden pain. Nu's hands shook as she reached into the folds of her worn blouse. From inside, she pulled a small cloth bundle, faded and fraying at the edges. Slowly, she untied it, revealing a thin silver bracelet, tarnished with time. Its surface was scratched, but a single word was engraved faintly across it: Huyen. Dee leaned forward, startled. Maya's eyes widened in awe, but Huyen, her breath caught, her hands trembling as if the sight of that bracelet pulled her back into a memory she had fought so hard to bury. Nu's voice quivered. "This was yours. I kept it when everything fell apart. Do you remember, Huyen? The fire, the screaming, how they dragged you away while I could do nothing to stop it." Tears streamed down her face now, unchecked. "You were so small, and I was only a girl myself. But I swore that if I lived, I would find you again. Because I am not just a stranger. I am your sister." The words slammed into the silence. Dee's breath escaped in a sharp gasp. He looked at Huyen, desperate for truth. Maya clutched her mother's arm tighter, not fully understanding, but sensing the storm that had entered their home. Huyen's lips parted, but no sound came. She was pale, her eyes swimming with tears, her heart torn open by the revelation. At last, she whispered, barely audible, "Nu, sister, I thought you were gone." Nu reached forward, her hand trembling, "And I thought I had lost you forever. But fate has led me here." Dee stood motionless, his chest tightening with questions. Huyen had carried this truth in silence for so long. Why? What else lay hidden in the shadows of her past? The bracelet gleamed softly under the lamp, fragile yet unbreakable like the bond between two souls. Torn apart, now finally standing face to face after all the lost years. Huyen's tears fell silently, tracing paths down her cheeks. The bracelet in Nu's hand glowed faintly in the lamplight, like a key unlocking doors she had sealed shut long ago. Maya looked up, confused. "Mama, you have a sister? Why didn't you tell me?" Huyen bent down, holding her daughter tightly, her voice breaking. "Because I thought she was gone, my love. I thought I was alone." Nu's gaze softened, though sorrow still clouded her face. "You were never alone, Huyen. I searched every village, every road. Years passed, and still I hoped. I never stopped believing that I would see you again." Dee, standing tall but shaken, finally spoke. His voice carried both hurt and tenderness. "Huyen, why didn't you tell me? Why carry this burden alone?" Huyen's shoulders trembled. "Because the past was too heavy, Dee. I wanted Maya to grow in peace, not under the shadow of what we lost. And you gave us safety, a home. I feared that if I spoke, the darkness would follow us here." Nu lowered her eyes, her voice heavy with guilt. "The darkness followed me, Huyen. Our family's end, the debts, the men who came that night. I survived, but at a price. And I feared what you would think if you knew." The room fell quiet, each word sinking into the bamboo walls like raindrops into dry earth. The oil lamp flickered, casting long shadows that swayed like ghosts of their past. Then Maya, with the innocence of a child, reached out and touched Nu's hand. "If she is Mama's sister, then she is my aunt, isn't she? Can she stay with us?" The question pierced through the silence like a small flame. Dee looked at Huyen, his stern eyes softening. He saw the fear in her, but also the fragile hope that glimmered, now the chance to heal, to reclaim something long lost. Finally, he nodded slowly. "If she carries your blood, then she is family, and family belongs under this roof." Nu covered her face with her hands, weeping quietly, her body shaking with relief. Huyen leaned forward, wrapping her arms around her sister for the first time in decades. It was not a perfect embrace, it was broken, trembling, soaked with tears, but it was real. For the first time in many years, the two sisters were no longer lost. And as the night deepened outside, the small house glowed with a fragile light of reunion, hope, and the quiet promise that even after long seasons of pain, love could still return. The story of Huyen, Dee, and Nu reminds us that no matter how many years pass, the truth of family cannot be erased. Painful memories may be hidden, and silence may build walls, but love has a way of breaking through when the time is right. Huyen learned that carrying her burdens alone only deepened her wounds. Nu discovered that searching with faith, even when hope seemed lost, can lead to reunion. And Dee realized that love is not only about protection but also about accepting the hidden past of the one you cherish. In the end, family is not defined by perfection but by forgiveness, courage, and the choice to embrace one another despite the scars of yesterday. Even after long years of separation, love can return, and when it does, it heals what silence and sorrow could not.